and obviously biggest podcast in the world, and been such, I mean, at least on the Spotify, uh, on their sphere, it's the largest. I'm guessing it's the largest. When you're getting 11, 12 million views per episode, I don't know how anybody's beating that. So they did a nice big deal. I'm going to read this article here. This is USA Today. USA Today, you can see by this here, they're trying to get you to buy their garbage for $1 for 6 months. They want you to subscribe to their garbage. That's the sign of a dumpster fire on its last throes. So, what is going on there? Oh, okay, of course. Look at that. What is going on? Page unresponsive. Yeah. Oh, nice. I made fun of them and they just stopped responding. That's funny. Okay. Well, we got it back. All right. With all the ads, like they put ads on everywhere. They're just trying to make money anywhere they can. Okay. So here we go. So Joe Rogan Inc.'s multi-year deal with Spotify podcast to expand to other platforms. So that's the key to this. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's awesome. What is going on? What? So this is why USA Today, why you're in trouble. Like I was saying, that's why this deal now is it allows them to go off other things. It's not an exclusive deal to Spotify. Oh, here we go again. What is going on? I cannot, for the life of me, find out what is happening with this stupid thing. USA Today. Here, this video is going to be basically about how bad USA Today is. Yeah. So, anyways, oh wow. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can get this back. Yeah, it's $250 million this deal, so it's massive. But let me read this article. This is by a dumpster fire of a writer, because right in the first line you're going to see Spotify is extending its relationship with controversial podcast host Joe Rogan. Whoa. Okay, well, all right, controversial. I know it's so controversial. Spotify announced a renewed partnership in a post on the company's corporate blog Friday. Under a prior multi-million dollar deal, the Joe Rogan Experience had been a Spotify exclusive since 2020. Under the new deal, the podcast will now be available on competing platforms, including YouTube and Apple Podcasts. That's the big thing right there. It's not exclusive anymore. So I'm wondering why. I wonder if it might be because they're actually going to get him to advertise Spotify for podcasts, because you hear that a lot on different advertising or on different places where they're advertising podcasts and stuff. So maybe they're trying to build their podcast, whatever, their brand bigger. I don't know why they would have to, considering they have Joe Rogan. But anyways, either way, they're doing a non-exclusive deal. The Wall Street Journal first reported the new deal on Friday and reported that Joe Rogan received $250 million contract over its multi-year term. According to sources, the Wall Street Journal also is reporting that the contract involves upfront minimum guarantee and in addition to a revenue sharing agreement based on ad sales. And that's another thing you may have noticed if you watch the Rogan podcast often now. There's a significant amount more ads now. I find I'm skipping ads more often, like 4 or 5 times now. Usually it used to be like in the first minute or two, you get 2 ads back to back. And now it's like 4 or 5. So, that could be an irritant, but at least you can skip them. Rogan has developed a huge audience on Spotify, and his podcast has remained the top podcast on Spotify's Wrapped every year since 2020. Many of his listeners enjoy his interview style and variety of guests. This is why you're failing USA Today. I mean, you're garbage. Okay. In a recent blog post, Spotify asked Rogan about his interview style and how he prepares for each conversation. There's no script of what we're going to talk about, and it's all just sort of happens in real time. It's just an actual organic conversation with people enjoying themselves, which is something we can all relate to and something we all love to do. These conversations have changed the way I think about life immeasurably and continue to do so. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I think he's so big, right? Because he's just genuine. You just listen to him talk, and he's shooting shit with somebody on a topic that either they both have some knowledge about or he has no knowledge relative to the guest, and then he just allows them to talk, which is great. Another really good thing about that podcast is there's very little interruption. You listen to other podcasts and they're interrupting each other all the time. Oh God, it's the worst. I mean, we used to do it here when Tyler and I were doing it. We had to kind of make a conscious effort to not interrupt each other because it just sounds terrible. You're listening to it, you're like, oh, this is awful. Just shut up, one of you. Rogan tells Spotify that he doesn't pick guests out of popularity. Instead, his approach is based on the conversation he thinks both of them will have. I only have people on the show that I'm genuinely interested in talking to. Rogan said, I do a podcast just because a person is popular. It's always from a place of, I think this would be a cool person or cool to talk to that person. So, all right, page went unresponsive again, just in time. You know what? The dumpster fire, USA Today, just trying to screw me out of reading this article. I don't think anybody wants to read it anyway. The important thing is Joe Rogan's got a massive deal with Spotify, and he remains to be the top podcast out there, which I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I love the podcast, but he recycles guests at times and stuff. And if you listen to it long enough, like I have, it's it's hard, especially if he's getting people that he likes on there. It's hard for him to get away from talking about the same stuff repeatedly. But again, because it's a lot of the same, I have a lot of the same interests. I don't mind, but it's just hard for me to believe that 11 to 12 million people are watching every show, and they've been doing so since like early 2020. So, I mean, that's awesome. Good on him. Good on Spotify. I hope this all works out, and I'm sure it will. So.